What is shaking, you guys? Welcome back to the Let's Go Win podcast, where we are here to help you be happy, healthy, wealthy, and get better every single day. The guest I'm going to bring on today, she is awesome. I was on her show. She brings so much energy, and I love to ask her questions and just let her go. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon is a highly successful CEO known for her transformative coaching and consulting services. Through her company, Incredible One Enterprises, LLC, she has helped clients generate over $500 million in sales and $365 million in revenue over the past decade. Her Move to Millions method accelerates businesses to six-figure days while deepening their connection to faith. Darnyelle is also a best-selling author, creator of powerful business systems, and host of Move to Millions podcast. Now she's releasing her latest book, Move to Millions, destined to inspire countless individuals. I had the opportunity to have this amazing, beautiful woman on. I was on her show, and now I have the chance to have her on mine. Darnyelle, I'm so blessed and humbled to have you on. How you doing?
I am doing so good, JM. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to either having an entirely different conversation or continuing the conversation we had together.
I mean, I will say it was pretty easy. We were back and forth, just flowing, and I expect that to be the same. You know what? I have a question because I didn't get a chance to ask you a lot on when I was a guest on yours. Move to Millions. I want to start with your relationship with money. Was this something that you knew I was destined as a young child? Like I was going to do great, money flows into me, I'm abundant? Or maybe you were a little bit more like me where I didn't have that healthy of a relationship. How was it for you?
And I chuckled because, if only. I would say I had a thin line between love and hate relationship with money growing up. What I knew of it, it wasn't positive. I watched my mom break her back and rob Peter to pay Paul just to be able to make ends meet. I watched similar things happen around my father. My father always talked about how hard you had to work for money. That was his truth. That was his reality. That's what he downloaded into us. And I just watched that there was never enough of it. And when we got it, we couldn't even keep it for a rainy day. We had to spend it because we were behind. And so all of these little micro meanings and lessons really flowered what I saw money and how financially literate I was, meaning I was completely illiterate, even in going to college on a full academic scholarship, which was amazing. I didn't have to pay. But I racked up a lot of credit card debt, almost as much as if I had student loans, because no one told me. All I heard about credit cards even was that it was layaway that you got to take home. And I could get all the way behind layaway that you can take home because I understood layaway, right? So it was chaotic at best. It was anything but what I know money to be today in the relationship that we have today. And I wouldn't trade a thing. Like, I think I would not be as astute and as committed to teaching about money and money mindset had I had it easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, again, the conversation you and I had, you are not a victim. You don't believe in that. That is not something that you're ever going to subscribe to.
No.
But it is, what's fascinating to me is where this idea came from. The harder you work, the more you make. And when you actually look out at people that have done well, and I'm using air quotes, financially successfully, it's not like they're busting their backs a lot of the time. It's not like they're really more intelligent per se than those that don't. But I will say it's a mindset. I feel pretty confident in saying the biggest difference, if I were to generalize, is going to come down to the mindset. What do you think? Is that accurate, or am I missing some things?
I think it's accurate, and I think it is the United States. So I don't even think it's, black girl, white boy, right? I think it's even more basic than that. In this country, hard work is praised. When you graduate or you win some award, what do they say? Congratulations, you must have worked so hard. It is praised to work hard. And so that's what we were taught. It's what's been ingrained in us since the beginning, right? I think lack is also ingrained in us since the beginning. And I have friends who came from pretty well-off families who had the same meanings around money that I do. And I came from a family that had, what's the saying? We didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, right? And so what I've come to surmise from that is that as a country, that's what we believe. And that's what we teach. And so that's what everybody is downloaded into. And so we work hard. I remember when I got to corporate America, they were working 16-hour days. They were putting in FaceTime. Like, they weren't necessarily sweat on their brow working, but they were in the office more than they weren't, because it was an indication of the amount of hard work they were doing. Like, there were just all of these symbols and cues that were praised and recognized that we wanted the attention. I was previously a Mary Kay beauty consultant turned Pink Cadillac independent sales director. And Mary Kay said people work harder for praise and recognition than for money. And so to be praised for working hard was a badge of honor. And so I think we all are ingrained that way. And I get it. Our parents wanted to give us a level of discipline and didn't want us to be entitled and all of those things. I think that they meant well, but the translation is something that is really not the truth, because the fact of the matter is hard work just makes you tired. And success financially, success anyway, is about alignment of thoughts. So yes, it is 100% mindset. And if you can look at yourself, your relationship to God, the universe, whatever it is for you. For me, it's God and Jesus. You can look at your relationship to that. You can look at your relationship to the way you see yourself. It will help you to see money for what it really is, which is a transactional energy that is always available. But that's not what we're taught.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And it was interesting because I like where you went. It's not, what did you say? Black girl, white guy. It's not some label, but I want to generalize something for a second. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. One of the things that I find astounding is often immigrants come to the country and thrive because they seize the opportunities. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, great examples. Both, one came from Hong Kong, the other one came from Thailand. Both had maybe that pot to piss in, maybe. But maybe. I mean, it was a really small pot.
Right.
It was probably like less than $200 in their pocket.
Yeah.
And what I'm curious on, Darnyelle, now again, I'm generalizing, but I noticed that some people really seize that opportunity when they come to our amazing country, all the opportunities. And yet maybe some of us were taught that that's not for us. We're not the ones that are going to thrive, own businesses, be multi-millionaires. Why is that? Do you notice that as well? That's something I've found really interesting.
And here's what I would argue. This is, the world according to Darnyelle. The immigrant that comes here and does well, I believe they do well, not just because of the amount of work that they do, but the amount of belief that they hold. And maybe it's even there is no alternative, right? They don't have a plan B. It has to work. If it is true, and I believe that it is, that alignment of thought is what moves money. And my alignment of thought as an immigrant in this country is it has to work. I don't have another option. This is it. Then that means I'm in alignment to, and I have this positive belief that whatever I put my hands on is going to succeed. And that's how I succeed. Now, I may sweat on my brow. I may work just enough. But if I hold the belief, because money is a vibe, energy is a vibe, vibration precedes manifestation. If I am elevating and I am vibrating here because I have said it has to work, it must work, I believe it'll work, I'm grateful that it's working, versus, oh, I'm afraid that it won't work. I don't think I'm the one. This isn't my country. I'm in a foreign land. All of the excuses and stories that we tell ourselves that integrate into the lies that create scarcity, it makes a difference. But if I wake up every single day and say, hey, today is the day that I get my big break, eventually today is going to be the day I get my big break, because that is the energy that I'm stewarding. That is the direction that I'm moving in. That is the way that I'm showing up and taking actions in accordance to that. Now, I believe God will give you more when you're moving than he ever will if you stand still. So there is action that needs to be taken. The Bible in James says faith without works is dead. I can believe all day long that today is the day it's going to work. But if I'm not taking any action, it's probably not going to work. But the key is I don't have to only take action. I have to take action in accordance to an alignment of thought. It's your thoughts equaling your feelings and beliefs, which affect the words that you speak over yourself, which affect the actions that you take and the results that you get. So there is a continuum, a formula, a framework that we all have to follow in order to produce the result that we are desiring and wanting to change our situation.
I have to say that was powerful. The world according to Darnyelle has legs, man, because you just broke something down that I'm telling you, I never saw this. To move to a foreign country and you don't speak the language, you have ultimate confidence and belief
and determination and resilience and tenacity. You have the makings of everything it takes. Like if we were to study Warren Buffett and Sir Richard Branson and Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, all of these paradigm moguls that we all aspire to, either secretly or outwardly, those are the characteristics that they have and demonstrate consistently in the way they show up in the world.
So good. I'm telling you, I've looked at this. I've always said they just recognize opportunities more. As much as I'm a mindset coach, I didn't put two and two together. Yeah. The world according to Darnyelle crushed that. I love what you said about it's not just having faith or belief. Faith is the word I'll use. Mm-hmm. You also have to put the action. I think this is where self-development, when people are like, well, you can't just sit there and manifest. You're right. No, yeah. You need to take action. However, it's like they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So those of you that are poo-pooing on faith, self-development, that doesn't work, manifestation, you're probably not doing the actions. Right. Those of you that are just doing actions but lack the faith, you're just digging a really long hole, deep hole. Yeah. I like how you tied that together. When was your aha moment to when you said, okay, in college, credit card debt, up the wazoo, I wasn't taught. Wait a minute, this is energy. This is frequency. Money is just energy. When I'm clear on what was that moment for you?
Yeah, it was after filing bankruptcy, circa 35. I'm 48 today. I think it was like 34, 35 when I filed bankruptcy. And when I got to the bankruptcy trustee court, I don't know, I cannot tell you if my trustee did this for anyone else. But for me, he looked at me, and maybe, JM, it was because I had $250,000 in credit card debt. And he was like, this poor girl, like, let me help her out. But he ordered that I had to take a financial literacy course. The financial literacy course that I took, one of the textbooks was A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Giocondi, and it changed my life. And the reason the book changed my life, now the book is about metaphysics, neuroscience, and the energy of money. It really breaks down, and I'm so grateful because I've seen other people's financial literacy texts and curriculums, and they don't include neuroscience and metaphysics in how they explain finances and financial literacy to people. And so I'm really grateful to have had a well-rounded education, not just the practical, this is how money works in this country, this is how you budget, this is how you create an asset, this is how you create a liability. All of that is good and it is great, but also understanding the metaphysics behind. Like, I think money is called currency for a reason because it was created to flow. And so understanding the undercurrent, pun intended, of money and the frequency of money is as important as understanding budgeting and assets and liabilities. And although many people aren't taught that, and so they're just looking at a linear definition of money or a linear financial literacy, which will impact how they show up to it. So learning 35 years old that money is an energy and I get to control how much of that energy accelerates in my direction by the actions that I take based on the thoughts and beliefs that I hold, it changed the game for me. Within 3 years, I was a millionaire because I recognized that if there was a quote unquote game to be played, then, I love a good game. And so I started playing the make money move game. And I started testing these theories in different ways and realizing that I didn't have to hustle for it. I didn't have to grind for it. I didn't have to sell my soul to the devil for more money to show up. And as I embodied and held the belief that I am worthy and deserving of more money than I can give, spend, invest, and save, more money than I could give, spend, invest, and save showed up in my life experience. And it just compounded, right? So by 38, I was $1 million in liquid assets, not including home, real estate portfolio, stock market portfolio. 48, I'm worth 8 figures. All things combined, right? I've got a nice real estate portfolio. I've got a decent stock market and cryptocurrency portfolio. I had a lot of crypto. I got into crypto really early when it was like $500 for one coin. I invested $5,000 in it, and crypto went up to like $60,000 or $70,000 for one coin. I pulled out and reinvested that money into some real estate, and now we're building again. But I play this game with myself because I understand, right? Like I understand what this all means, and I'm grateful. Like if I had not have filed bankruptcy, if I found a way to keep juggling all the balls and keeping them in the air, I'd still be robbing Peter to pay Paul, working really hard, thinking that was the key to more money. I'd still be living what I was taught as a child, but I'm grateful that was in fact not the case. And instead, I was given the cheat code to be able to truly shift the generational trajectory of my lineage, becoming the first millionaire in my family because I understand what money is.
It's amazing. I didn't know that. Kudos to the person that said, what was it? Is Happy Pocket Full of Money?
A Happy Pocket Full of Money, David Cameron Jacondi.
All right. I have not read it. I'm going to go check that out. I want to go back to the moment because I've had business partners that have gone through bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain amount of shame at times that I've watched.
Oh, ridiculous amount of like so much so that I should have filed bankruptcy at least a year and a half prior to when I actually did. And I did it because my ego was so afraid that when they put it in the paper, everyone who knew me was going to call me. Like, so stupid. Like in hindsight, and when I did finally file, because there was no other option. It was like either that or they're going to start garnishing my wages. Like it was out of control. It was a non-event. No one picked up the phone and called me. Now, people may have seen it, but they didn't call me if they did. But I was so ashamed. And it was my secret shame that I was taking to my grave too. I was never going to tell anyone that this is what happened to me. It came out by mistake in 2013. And when it came out by mistake, it liberated. I was speaking, I was holding a live event, and it liberated my entire audience. It humanized me, because often when you're the person on the stage, without even realizing it, people put you on a pedestal, right? And they think, oh, you're the exception. They could never be like you. But admitting my secret shame of bankruptcy, it humanized me, and it made more people want to work with me. It made me more money. I didn't do it for money, but it made me more money because I became a human being that if you cut me, I bleed just like everyone else, as opposed to this person, this exceptional person who's figured out something that we don't yet know the answer to.
Yeah, the liberation part, it's fantastic. It's amazing. If you've watched somebody go through this, again, the shame, the sheer disappointment in themselves. I mean, it's a dark place, or can be. And then the liberation, the freedom part. I'm so grateful for you that happened. That's incredible that you slipped up or however it came out. And now, guess what? I'm not hiding anything.
No, now I'm telling people, and I'm liberating. Like I'm changing people's lives because I'm willing to speak my truth. Like I say all the time, JM, no one goes to bed a blunder and wakes up a wonder. Every single one of us has a story, and every single one of us has been on a journey. And we think that keeping to, as close to us as possible, the failures is the key. No, that's how we help other people. Failure comes before success everywhere, not just in the dictionary. And once we understand that, it really does change how we can relate to people and impact people so that we can give them the audacity of hoping that their situation can change. And I'm so grateful. It was completely by accident. I never meant to share it. It just popped out. You know, have you ever said something and then like as soon as you say it, you like look around and you're like, did anyone hear that? Like, did I say that in my head or did I say that out loud? It was totally one of those moments. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But then I just watched what happened. I watched the energy in the room shift. I watched people take a sigh of relief. I watched people say, oh my gosh, this is possible for me too. And that was so much more amazing than the emotion of shame and guilt that I started saying it everywhere I was and every chance I got. It literally became the thing I would tell everybody. Like, yeah, no, I'm not perfect. I did not wake up like this. I have been to the bottom and had to file bankruptcy. I almost was living in my car. I ate ramen noodle and peanut butter and jellies every other day for 18 months because I couldn't afford anything when I was going through bankruptcy. And 3 years later, I had access to $1 million in cash 3 years later.
Yeah, I mean, the story is always, it's better than, oh, yeah, Darnyelle, she just, she crushed it, of course. She had a full ride academic scholarship. Life came easy. That's boring. I mean, that's the truth. Nobody wants to hear that. But hey, I actually walked in, I did bankruptcy. I rode the roller coaster. And that's the truth is the social media world that we live in, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No,
that's
it's
not the way life works. One of the things you mentioned when I was on your show is you have gone through kind of a really fun, or currently going through a pretty amazing, I don't know if it's an epiphany. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when we were talking, you were talking about, man, I'm really taking power on, I don't know if it was your health. I'm sorry, I'm failing a little bit on it, but I would think it was definitely your health that you're like, you know what? I'm taking power, and this energy came off. I'm curious what that looks like for you today, because again, success after saying thank you, bankruptcy, got my ass kicked. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Read this amazing book. And now I'm thriving on stage. Okay. I say the word bankruptcy. My life becomes amazing because now I don't have to hide anything, but yet you're still on that journey. What are you doing right now that is, because it was awesome when you were talking as the host, I was like, this energy just exploded out of you. What does that look like for you right now?
Yeah. And let me just say this first. Like the reason why I started on this crusade, for lack of a better word, was because I believe that you cannot sell the dream if you feel like you look like a nightmare. And I had let myself go probably more than I should. And I'm looking back at pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, I look a mess. Self-critical. So this isn't someone else said to me, you need to lose weight, you look a mess. It was me. It was also simultaneously turning 48 years old, right? I'm officially closer to 50 than I am to 45 or 40, right? And I'm like, I have no idea how many more years I have. I don't know if I have another 48. But what I do know is with my first 48, I was not the best steward over my vessel. And so for whatever I have left, I'm going to be a better version of myself. I'm going to be a version of myself that is going to create an environment for other people to want to be the best version of themselves. And for me, that some of that was about modifying my physical appearance. And I wanted there to be a little less of me to love. And so at this point in time, that equates to about 26 pounds lost. Awesome. I feel amazing. I have extreme mental clarity. I am excited. And it was just the decision, as with any other decision I've made in my life, the decision to file bankruptcy, the decision to change my financial situation. Every decision that I've ever made, I made the decision. And I believe, as Emerson says, once you decide, all of the universe rearranges itself to bring you what you decided. So if you keep moving in the direction of the decision, then you will get what it is that you've decided. And so I decided that I wanted to, lean out, and I wanted to be more healthy. Because again, who knows how many more sunrises and sunsets I have. And I want the rest of them to not be bogged down with health challenges and limitations, because I chose to put something in my mouth that I knew I shouldn't put in my mouth. Like I've always been clear and conscious of what I should eat, but I didn't. And now I just decided, like, I'm on stage, I'm helping people, grow $1 million companies. I'm helping people get to multiple millions to 8 figures. And I want them to hold the belief that as they do that, they should get better. And I'm not here about anybody else's body or how anybody else looks, but for me, for Darnyelle Antoinette, it's important that this vessel be a monicum of what is possible in every possible way when you are in full alignment with who God created you to be. And God did not create me to have my belly hanging over my pants. That's not who he created me to be. And so I have decided to accept the challenge and to be accountable to myself, to do the work. Just the same that I'm going to do the work to continue to grow my business, I'm going to do the work to continue to be the best version of myself. So moving my body every single day, making better choices about what I eat, drinking plenty of water, taking my vitamins, like those are the things. And we all know that these are the things that we can do. And I'm just going to actively do them.
Yeah, there's a theme coming through, and it is wealth. The reason I say that is happy, healthy, wealthy are the 3 core values of my company. I say it every show. Everybody knows happy, healthy, wealthy. And I try to explain often wealth doesn't mean just financially. And what I just heard you describe is real wealth, not just financially, but spiritually, health, relationships. Yeah. I'm guessing everything since you made this decision, everything's just a little bit brighter. Everything just tastes a little bit better. It's easier to do some of these things.
And at least more clear, right? Because when you decide to up level and become a better version of yourself, the things that aren't up leveling, they are magnified, right? And so you can make some decisions about the things that you have to continue to change. And recognizing also that the original definition of wealth is based on well-being, right? So it's not even, the original definition isn't even about money. I believe that it was understood that money would be part of that. But yeah, for me, I want to be the best version of myself. And I want to create an environment to be an example of what it looks like to be the best version of yourself in service to humanity, to help them to become better versions of themselves.
When you have fears come up, because it's natural, right? I don't care how successful someone is. Fears come up, self-limiting beliefs, things that pop up that are not going to allow you to show up as the best version of Darnyelle Antoinette Jervey Harmon. Did I nail that, by the way?
You did. Yeah, absolutely.
The full name. But when that happens, because you have this real zest, you have this energy, what are you doing? Is it your relationship with God that is providing this for you? Is it specifically reading? Because you quoted Emerson, you gave it some other books. So I am always fascinated when I meet people that really are inspired to go make the world a better place. And I guess my easy, direct question is, what does that look like for you so that you do pop out of bed and go, let's kill it, man. We're gonna crush today. That is happening. What does that look like for you?
So I think it's all of the above, first and foremost. So it is first and foremost who God created me to be. I am a God girl unapologetically. And I don't believe that keeping my relationship with God is in service of humanity to myself. I don't think that it is helpful to keep it to myself. Now, I don't have to ask you to change your own relationship with God, or if you have one, or I don't even have to require you to have one, but I think it is important for me to share mine. I like to quote the Bible, like people like to quote Think and Grow Rich, right? And so I think that the Bible, the acronym for Bible is Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. I think it is an amazing resource of how to get and experience the abundance for which God started creation in the first place. And so that is absolutely at the center of everything that I am. I have always been mission driven. My name means the secret place where dreamers go to dream. I promise that's what it means. I didn't make it up. And my goal is to live it every single day, to actually be a source of inspiration for other people, for people to hear words that come out of my mouth, see the way that I'm showing up in the world, and desire to emulate in some way, right? Like that is really important to me from a very young age. I was 10 years old when I found my purpose. My purpose is to use words to change the lives of other people, which is why I speak, which is why I coach, which is why I teach, which is why I write, because there are power in words. And if I can get you to shift the words that you are using, I can get you to change your life and change the lives of other people. And so being very clear and cognizant of that at a very young age has made me very intentional. And so because I'm so intentional, I have, not that I haven't been misdirected, not that I don't experience fear, because yes, fear is a natural indication of your ego trying to keep you safe, right? But we have to remember we're only born with two, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noise. Every other fear that we have was learned and perceived, which means it can be unlearned. And I today see fear as an indication that your next level is present. So when I get afraid now, I'm like, oh, that means something big is about to happen. If I would just keep leaning into what is the source of this fear and work through the fear, and as the adage goes, feel the fear, but do it anyway, what's on the other side of this fear is going to be something that transforms my life. It's going to take me to my next level. And so I actually get excited when I see fear today. And I think it's also because, or I know it's also because I have faith. I trust in a source and a power that is greater than me. I understand the gifts and talents that reside on the inside of me. I am confident. I am bold. I am courageous. I'm a disruptor, and I'm unwilling to status quo it to make someone else feel comfortable. If you come into my presence, my whole presence is to shift you and to get you to question everything that you believe. And I own that. I wear that boldly, proudly. And I think people are better for being in my space. And I know that when people come into my space, everything about their life will change. And that is what people tell me. That is what I know to be true myself. That's what I experience every single day. It's just a very clear understanding of who created me, right? I think about in the Bible, Jeremiah 1:5, God says, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you, I approved you. I believe that every single one of us came here approved. We came here approved. Now, our approval rating may have gone down when we met our family and we were introduced to lack and fear, but we came here approved. And God wants us all to return to approval, to that highest approval rating. So we're not seeking validation outside of ourselves. We're finding the answers that we need inside of us. So that is my mission, is to help as many people as I possibly can leverage that. And I've chosen, or it's been chosen for me, to do that in entrepreneurship.
You're the second person this month that has said basic, I think you said instruction before leaving Earth. Mm-hmm. The other gentleman said basic information before leaving Earth.
Yeah.
Regardless, it doesn't matter to me. I had never heard that. And twice within 30 days, people on my show have said this.
Yeah.
Now, why I'm bringing this up is my relationship with God was topsy-turvy. Raised Catholic, never jived with it, man. Just didn't resonate. And so I had this I lost it for a long time.
Because Catholicism is crazy. I mean, Catholics are, that whole subset of religion is to say being poor makes you more holy. That kind of goes against human nature. Human nature doesn't want to be pure. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No.
I interrupted.
You're fine. I believe that things happen for a reason. I absolutely do. And again, what I like about when you speak is you are unapologetically you, as you said, but you also are judgment free. That is always how I've felt. Yeah. You don't push anything. But I learned so much when you talk. That's why I like to say a question, just get the hell out of the way, because falling and loud noises are the only two fears. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I mean, I don't want anyone to do this, but around a newborn, let there be a loud noise, they will cry. Act as if you are going to release them, they will cry. Those are our only innate fears. Everything else is taught. And it starts to be taught the day you get to your family. It's taught then. But yeah, we're only born with those two.
But it makes sense, right? It's basic protection. That's all. It's survival. Exactly. It's fight or flight. So that makes a ton of sense. Back to the Bible thing, because I'm so fascinated in this. The gentleman that said it on the show previously, and gosh dang it, I'm blanking on his name right now, and I can see him. It's Joel Brown. Anyway, Joel Brown said this, and I was like, damn, I've never heard that. So my question to you, one who has literally never read the Bible other than when I had to at church and when I was kneeling and miserable as a kid, I have been searching up the best way to start. It's such a basic question for some people, but it is overwhelming how many options there are for the Bible.
Yeah.
Where would you start? I'm just curious because my relationship with God has never been better. Every single day I say I'm grateful for my relationship to God, with God. I say goes back and forth sometimes. Where would you start? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So let me first say this. I do not believe, this is again the world according to Darnyelle, I do not believe that the Bible is a religious text. That's why it's basic instructions or information before leaving Earth, right? I believe that it has been used religiously. Religion was created by man. It's a separatist thing. That's why there's Catholicism and Protestants and then all of the denominations inside of Christianity. Like, it's to separate, right? That's God really wants unification. He wants us all together. So having said that, I personally think I like the historical context of the Old Testament. So if you want to understand the stories of the characters that influence the New Testament, I would start in the Old Testament. I think everyone should at least read the full book of Genesis. It's like 38 or however many chapters. It starts with creation, then it moves into Adam and Eve, and then their kids, and then it goes all the way down through Abraham and all of that. It is pretty good stuff in terms of storyline, right? Like understanding who these people were, who found favor, who didn't, like all of that kind of stuff. The New Testament, however, is where I would say to read if you want to understand today, like what the disciples had to say, what the epistles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John had to say about when Jesus walked the earth and what he did, the miracles that he created, the people that he healed, all of those types of things. And the other thing that I would say, because there is no right or wrong answer, is figure out a subject that you'd like to learn about. Go to Google and say, where do I find this subject in the Bible? And it'll give you. I just recommend, instead of reading just the scripture, because they might say Matthew 18:21, which just happens to be what the universal law of fellowship is based on. Instead of just reading that verse, read the whole chapter of Matthew 18. It's just like any other book you would read, right? Where in order to get the context, you got to read a little bit before and read a little bit after. So I would do the same thing, but literally you can go to Google and be like, I want to learn about, what does the Bible have to say about business ownership? It'll take you to 4 different parables that are about business. And other things. What does the Bible have to say about sales? It might take you to 2 Kings and the widow whose husband died and she had to pay her debtors, and she went to Elisha, and Elijah told her to use what she had in her home and to sell it to people to collect enough money to be able to pay the debtors and to be able to, for her and her son to live. So anything, that's why it's basic instructions or basic information before leaving Earth. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything you could possibly want to learn is in the Bible. Even the things that are quote unquote bad. Adultery is in the Bible. Like everything's in there. So if you want to learn about anything and you want to learn what has been said by either God or the prophets who were the writers of the various passages and chapters inside of the Bible, you could go and you can find it. I do believe that it is possible to have a relationship with God without reading the Bible. I do believe that reading the Bible will enhance your relationship with God.
Back to business, not that we've swayed from, because all of this it's a culmination, right? Yep. It's all of this is a piece of it. But if you were to take somebody right now and they have that scarcity, they aren't succeeding the way that they want to, whatever, they're not living their greatest life right now. What is the 1, 2, 3 things where you just want to put your arms around them and say, or you shake them and you're like,
I might want to shake them.
Yeah. What is that when you see, if you were to really boil it all down to say, if you would just What is that so many people are lacking? Because there is so much lack and scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
I see it all the time. It fucking drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I will just say that.
Yeah. We're
It's
born
one
in
of the things
lack.
I want to.
We're taught, we are inbred as a country, as a society, in lack, right? So I think people who feel lack, live lack, they got it honestly, so to speak. But what I know is that everything you've ever heard about lack, scarcity, it's a lie. It's not true. And what holds us back are the stories that we tell ourselves. So if you're telling yourself the story that you can't have, you're not enough, there isn't enough, there'll never be enough, then you will have what you say. So you got to start telling yourself a different story. So number one, let's trace the belief, right? What is the belief? Where does this belief come from? What is the evidence that you have to substantiate this belief for yourself? Because most of us are holding on to a belief that wasn't even ours. It was our parents. We have no actual evidence except the fact that our parents told us this over and over and over again, right? Like I think about, and I can't remember if I said this when you were on my show, but this is something I say often when I'm speaking. I tell the story of the little girl who's watching her mom make a ham for dinner. So mom, takes the ham out of the package, washes the ham, cuts the butt off the ham, puts the ham in the pan and puts it in the oven. Little girl's really inquisitive. So she's like, Mom, why'd you just cut the butt off the ham before you put it in the pan and put it in the oven? Mom says, I don't know. Ask grandma, because that's the way she did it. Little girl calls grandma, mom's making a ham. She just washed the ham, cut the butt off the ham, put the ham in the pan, put it in the oven. Why did she do that? I asked her, she doesn't know. Grandma says, I don't know why your mom is doing it, but I did it because my pan wasn't big enough to hold the whole ham. So many of us, we are doing what we saw done without ever asking the question about why that was done. Right? So let's trace the belief and let's find the origins of the belief and the evidence that substantiates that belief we've been holding is true. If you look at the word believe or belief, BELIEF or BELIEVE, there is a lie in the middle of believe. Most of the things you believe are a lie. And so you're probably believing a lie and you've made this lie a truth and it is impacting you. So what would happen if we dismantle the lie and make it into an actual truth that you could live by, and then you took steps and actions in accordance to what is now the truth? And we also have to understand that what is true is perspective, but what is truth is principle. So we've got to find the truth in the things we believe are true in order to operate in accordance to principles and not perspectives, because our perspective, like our vantage point, is almost always skewed, right? If I'm right here, I can't see what's happening over there, not even in my peripheral. So it's skewed. And we often let skewed perspectives flower the principles that we live over our life and impact how we show up. So we've got to dissect, we've got to dismantle, and we've got to reshape, reframe, and re-engage with what is actually the truth.
Well, I like earlier you said, look, when I engage with somebody, I'm going to make you question everything. That's what you just went to. And again, belief, yeah, lie. Believe, lie. Interesting. It's maybe why faith is so much a better term than that.
Right.
Gosh, I could go so many ways. I want to just give you open forum. I didn't know enough to ask you this question, and you want to make sure to share it before we start to wrap this thing up. What is that? What did I miss that you want to make sure to share with us?
I mean, I do believe that this was wildly comprehensive, and we got to talk about a lot of different things. Here's what I'll say. I believe that businesses that have a spiritual foundation go farther faster. Not just because of who God is. I mean, he created the whole universe in 7 days, but also because of the way your energy moves. It's an accelerant to be in connection and alignment with the creator of the universe. I believe that a relationship with God, source, universe, whatever else you might call it, is personal. You don't have to share it with anyone. I outwardly share it because I want to normalize the importance of recognizing the significance of spirituality in life. We are spiritual beings having a human experience after all. And if we separate our spirituality from our humanness, then we are missing the true I'm going to use the word magic. It might not be the right word, but we are missing the true magic of humanity if we attempt to separate them. I believe that because our money says, "In God we trust," and our politicians say, "God bless America" at the end of every speech, and our whole country was founded based on those who were escaping religious persecution, we're not agnostic to God. But deciding to have a relationship with him is a personal one. I do believe that you should explore that. If this conversation has piqued your interest in any way, I invite you to give him a try and see if he adds more clarity, safety, confidence, and connection to your whole world. And if as a result of that, that creates an environment for you to accelerate the things that you most desire to bring into your life experience. I believe that abundance is your birthright. I believe that having a business that does millions per year, like it was never moved to million. It's not 1 million. It was always moved to millions, multiple millions, because that is how we get to shift and change our generational trajectories. If it is true, and I believe it is, that we were all born in lack, like at the beginning. Now, you could be a Rockefeller, and today as a Rockefeller, you don't know lack because J.D. Rockefeller back in the day, who came here in lack, created an environment for lack to dissipate from his lineage. But at the onset of every single one of our families, there is lack. And if we can learn how to challenge the lack and find the abundance, because if you think about the law of polarity, right, you cannot have lack without also having abundance. Then we can create an environment for us to experience abundance in a multitude of ways. Financial abundance is only one way, right? But I think that we do ourselves a disservice if we don't explore these things. And I believe that they do have a place in business. I believe that Fannie Lou Hamer jacked us all up when she said we must separate church and state and we got to stop praying in schools. And we bought into it, and it began to erode the fabric of what was good in this country. And we have a distinct opportunity now in our own way to bring it back. And I think you can do it through a lens that is non-judgmental. I tell everyone, I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. So anything that I share with you is just out of my own experience and what I have found that creates an environment for peace and for me to get what it is that I most desire. And so I'm only sharing it with you because I know it to be true, because I don't do theory. I don't have the time, the energy, or the capacity to theorize anything. So if it comes out of my mouth, I know it to be true. That's why I'm so confident. And that's why I can articulate it in confidence to allow you to question and consider if this might be something that's right for you. And above all, this is the last thing that I say. I believe that you were born on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose, for such a time as this. And so my hope, my prayer, my edict to you is that you go and find your purpose and fulfill your purpose on the earth, because I believe that when you do, the planet will shake. And it has been my joy, honor, and privilege to be here with you, JM. Thank you so much.
No, it's how do you follow up with that? I will say one thing. I say something every single day. I get paid to exist. Wealth is my birthright. Abundance is my birthright. Abundance is my destiny. I say it all the time. I've not shared that on the show, but when you're speaking, I was like, oh, she's so right. You're fascinating. You absolutely help people. I think it's amazing. If my audience, I know you have events. I know you have a book. All sorts of amazing. If they wanted to connect with you, Darnyelle, they're like, yeah, man, more Darnyelle, in my life. That's a good thing. Where do they find you?
Yeah, best place is to go to movetomillions.com. Movetomillions.com. It's easy to spell. And when you get there, you'll see all the ways that you can work with my team and I to help you take your life to the next level.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I love the conversation, just like I love being on your show. I knew this was going to be good. I actually woke up a bit in a funk today, and yet you brought just so much joy. So thank you. Awesome. Just personally and selfishly, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So good. So such a joy to be here. This was awesome.
You guys go check her out. Move to Millions, movetomillions.com, Move to Millions podcast. I had a fantastic conversation. You should have enjoyed this. Share this with someone. Let somebody know. Look, she talked about bankruptcy. We talked about God. We talked about so many amazing things. This is such a good episode. Please make sure to share it out. Until next time, remember your mindset matters. I appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.